Hey guys, welcome back to the Locker Room Podcast. I'm your host, Oliver, joined by Sharpie.
Hello.
We're back after a week off. Had a bit of a break, but we're so glad to be back, aren't we, Sharpie? Can tell it in your voice, as you can probably tell. The Knicks are playing right now, and they're not playing very well. We won't get into that, but we'll go to accountability first. I'm the only one that did it last week, and it failed by 2 legs. The Chargers lost to the Broncos by 13, and the Lockie's Panthers lost. So we'll move on from that, and we'll just go into our weekly multi. Sharpie, did you want to go first?
Yeah, I've got Oklahoma State to beat Baylor in the college football. I've got Australia to beat England in the Ashes first test, if that even goes on, who knows. And I've also got Southeast Melbourne Phoenix to beat the New Zealand Breakers in the NBL.
Jesus, bit of NBL action going on.
Yeah, well, it's starting up soon, so
Zuki, how's he going in there?
he's going to be MVP.
Yeah, probably. Geez, that's a few. I think Oklahoma State's your most used team in multis.
Yeah, well, they always win. So
Yeah, true. Easy money. Well, so I've got the actual value for mine for the first time in a long time. So I've got Golden State to beat the Suns, Eagles to win, the Colts to win, Cardinals to win, Patriots as underdogs to beat the Bills, and the Raiders, I think, are slight underdogs to win as well. That's paying $13.60. So hopefully I can finally get up. Moving on to go. I want to ask you about the NBA. So what's your favorite award race currently? Just touch on it briefly because we're going to go more in depth about a few of them. So is your favorite MVP? Is it the MVP race? Is it 6-man? What's intrigued you the most?
at the moment, the MVP race, it's got to be another unanimous one for Steph Curry.
Yeah, well, Jesus, we'll touch on that, but I think even defensive player of the year is going to be interesting, or even most improved. But we'll get into it now. So we'll start with the MVP. We'll go through 3 of the awards this week, and then we'll go through the other 3 next week. So start off with MVP. I'll give you the list of the 3 favorites, and just let me know if you think it's right or wrong, and who you've got at the top. And if we disagree, we'll have a debate. But so the front 3 are Curry, Giannis, and KD. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah.
So, and is Curry your MVP?
At the moment, yes.
I think Giannis is always underrated, but I feel like looking at how the Nuggets went without Jokic, and obviously they just lost to the Magic, which was disgusting. I think he's coming like 5th. I think you could make an argument for him to be number 1 or 2 in there, but I think you can't really debate Curry, even though he shot terribly against the Suns, which we'll get into that game later. But well, I think that's a pretty easy one. Now I haven't listed the top 3 favorites because I didn't have it for the coach of the year. But who would you go 1 and 2?
1, I'd probably go Billy Donovan, and 2. It's a tough one. I could go Steve Kerr, but I feel like that's too easy. Probably. I forgot the bloody name of the coach for the Hornet. Wes Unseld Jr.
Is he the? Oh no, he's
Wizards. He's a Wizards coach. My bad.
Yeah. I agree. I think Billy Donovan's top 2, and I did have Steve Kerr in there just because, like, watching them, the way that, like, he plays, he just throws different defenses out there. He like runs a man, he runs the zone, he runs 2-3, 3-2, box and 1. He just runs all these different looks, and I wonder why they're 17-3 or something, or 18-3. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but I feel like after Monty Williams not winning it last year, you could have an argument for him winning it last year. But I feel like he deserves to be up there again with their win streak at 18 or something ridiculous like that. But I think we're kind of similar in the 2 that we have. Now this one's probably the closest one so far. rookie of the year. So the favourites, Cade Cunningham, second Mobley, and Barnes third. But before I get your tip, they still have Jalen Green fourth above the likes of, I know I'm Giddy fan, but like Giddy, Franz Wagner, all these other players. I just think it's a bit interesting. But what's your take on this?
I think with the Jalen Green situation, there's been more games where Green has scored a lot more
Mm.
and he's looked a lot better than Giddy. Where Giddy's just pretty much just a
Consistent.
pick and roll player at this point. He's not getting many stats really. He's just because he can't get assists because these people that he's passing it to can't finish it. Franz Wagner's an interesting one. He's been scoring well lately, coming off the bench and starting also in a few games for Magic. Yeah, and Mobley, he's just a great perimeter and inside defender.
Do you agree with those rankings? Do you?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
So
I think it's good.
but like right now, would you have Cade?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
So I probably should have worded this better when since it's a quarter of the way in, we're crowning like a rookie of the year to this point. Would you still have Cade at one, or would you? Because
If you ask me
personally,
if you ask me this in 5 games, I'd probably say Cade.
yeah,
But at the moment, I'd probably just go with Scotty Barnes.
it's well, there's our first disagreement. I'll go with Mobley, just because, and I know I'm backtracking on my words a fair bit because I think we didn't really like what we saw from Mobley in the preseason.
In the summer league we didn't.
In the summer league,
It's only a summer league,
yeah.
but that was the segment.
But like the way the Cavs are going, how successful they've been, I think Scotty Barnes, you can make a case where he's been a lot better than I thought he would be, like scoring wise and everything, and consistency wise. But the Raptors, who are a team that you would think would be good defensively, have been, I think they're the second worst in defense. You got Siakam, Barnes, Vliet. It's I think for
Gary
that
Trent
reason,
Jr. as well.
yeah, for that
He's
reason, I'd
leading the
probably
league
go
in steals at the
Mobley.
moment.
Because would you make an argument Mobley is the best player? I think Jarrett Allen's probably the best player on that Cavs team right now. But do you agree you could make an argument for Mobley being their best player?
Not at the moment. I reckon Allen probably would be the best player.
Because I think one of them, if they keep up this, one of them's going to make the All-Star game, and I don't think they're going to put a rookie in there. But
no.
I think Mobley but I think he's just come back from an injury, so be interesting to see if he keeps up. But I think, and I still just disagree with the Jalen Green thing. I think he's been pretty worrying with his field goal percentage and everything, and he just doesn't play defense. And obviously, Giddy's he's a good defender.
Also, doesn't play many games either.
Yeah, well, what injuries he got?
I don't know. He's always seems to be out.
I don't know. He seems like the new player I won't like just because he's higher than Giddy in the rookie standings, which is a bit petty. But yeah. Anyway, that's the three we had for this week. We'll zoom along these pretty quickly, so we'll go to that time of the week.
Slugs, horsey tips.
So this week, race 5, number 3 at Mooney Valley, Brownie, which I think is racing tonight. So I'm going to have to get this up pretty quickly. Race 8, number 1 at Pakenham, Yulong, January. And his each way of the day is race 4, number 6 at Pakenham, Ruskin, one of them. We'll continue on with the NBA. So I don't know if you saw this morning, I got like 10 notifications. We're going to talk about Lebron being out for a minimum of 10 days, but he's somehow gotten off it after testing positive twice and then testing negative once, and then it's a whole shambles. Have you been keeping track of it? I know you probably don't care much for LeBron, but
okay,
yeah, I don't think I'm surprised. I thought he was going to be out at least 10 days, and now he's apparently back. So
I just want to know now. We played against the Lakers and AD was had flu-like symptoms, and a few days later, there's players on the Knicks roster that are sick.
Yeah, well, RJ Barrett.
Yeah, and like Jericho Sims and all that.
that is interesting. Especially, how can you have a flu game in this day and age with
Yeah, exactly.
COVID?
It's not. It's a worrying time nowadays where
Mm.
you got to take time off and shit.
Mm.
Because if it was the other way around, there'd be people fucking kicking up a big stink in the league, in the front office and everything.
My question is though, like, if this is not LeBron, if this is any other player, they're sitting out 10 days no matter what. But now he's figured
the league
a way.
ain't even caring.
Yeah, well, he bloody sent a cryptic message on Twitter and shit, and it's just ridiculous. But
And I see that the ESPN have changed the national TV game from tomorrow, I think, from the Clippers and Lakers to the Warriors and the Suns.
That's a good move, though. That's a very smart move.
I mean, no one wants to watch fucking Lakers.
Yeah, and especially, like, I don't think even Paul George is playing, is he? I think he's injured or something.
Yeah, so it would have just been LeBron versus the Clippers.
And the Clippers are pretty bad without fucking Paul George. But yeah, I think that they've done that well. But I mean, still, I don't know why LeBron's back. He just kicks up an argument and gets his way. But
every single time,
every single day, especially contacting the league about foul calls and shit. But
yeah, maybe the Knicks should do that. So
no, the Knicks are just raising GoFundMe pages to have a fight with Scott Foster.
Someone should actually box him.
Oh, that would be funny. I mean, I think it's got a fair bit of money behind it now. Obviously, it's not going to fucking happen, but it's just interesting. We'll move on to a few injuries. So I'm just going to list a few names to you, and I want what you think's who's more worrying for what team. So like list them ranked worst. I've worded that terribly anyway. So Lillard out for 10 days minimum with an injury that he's supposedly, God, I can't speak, been carrying for the last 4 years, some abdomen injury. Jar sprained his knee. I think it's 6 weeks or 8 weeks. He'll be.
Thank God it was only a knee sprain.
Yeah, thank fuck. And Bam Adebayo's done his UCL and his thumb. So, and that's
I read that
damage.
as ACL.
Yeah. It would have been a lot worse if it was, but that's still 6 to 8 weeks. Now, ranking those injuries from worst for the team to their team could probably cope from 1. So go 1 to 3. Who do you think is the biggest loss or the
probably
main one you're worried
Memphis. Or actually, no, probably Miami, because Memphis and Portland can live with that those injuries and that, because they're not contending at the moment or anything.
Yeah.
Could make an argument for Memphis, but Portland are in a bit of shambles at the moment. So.
Yeah, I'll get into Portland more. So you think Bam with
I think what he brings to that team defensively, and he's a good scorer as well. So I think that's a big loss, especially with also Jimmy out as well at the moment.
Yeah, I don't even know. Do you know what's wrong with Jimmy?
Back, I think it's his back.
So you
got him in my fantasy, so I keep saying that he's out.
You got Jimmy out with his back. You got Bam out with his thumb for at least 2 months, probably. And you got Morris that still hasn't recovered from that whiplash. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. But you've got PJ Tucker, who's probably your best big man now. You got
Dwayne Dedman as well.
Dwayne Dedman. You
also
got no
that Yurt Servant as well.
And I think they're going to start sliding a little bit now, because you got Lowry, Hero, Duncan Robinson doing Tony Snell games. But I think they're going to start sliding.
That's pretty poor from him.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Someone's on that amount of money, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, you've got to at least get some other stat. But I think they'll fall out of the top 4 if they haven't already. I think they're just hanging on to top 4 right now. They obviously got smashed by the Cavs. Oh no, they've fallen to 5th. They need to stay in playoffs until at least Jimmy gets back. How long that will be. One I should put in there as well. Michael Porter Jr. out for the season with a back surgery.
Yeah.
So we'll contend him now with the other 3. Would you put him second most?
No, I probably would. No.
I'd
put him third.
Yeah, I'd go Jar next, just because Memphis. Lillard's is only a 10-day injury. They say 10 days, but I'll get to that. But
I think Portland can
Jars,
afford to
yeah.
rest him a bit more though. So
yeah, Jar's like the guy on their team, and I think for the first week or two they've got a pretty easy schedule. They obviously beat the Raptors, and I think they're flogging the Thunder right now. Yep, they're up by 33 points, and it's not even half time. But I think that they can cope for a week, but for a couple of weeks they're gonna go on a losing streak, and they're probably gonna fall to 10th or 11th. And if you're the Grizzlies and you got Jar, you need to make playoffs. I think this year you can't miss out again. And I didn't like the trade they did Steven Adams for Valanciunas, because Valanciunas is clearly the better center, as much as I hate to say it. But
Steven Adams is just a screen person. That's it.
Yeah, and he's dropped off considerably. He doesn't even get his numbers anymore. But
Mans could average a huge amount of rebounds and stuff.
Yeah. So Jar's second, and then third and fourth out of Michael Porter Jr. and Lillard.
I'd probably put Michael third, and the only thing is worrying about it is this going to become a recurring injury for Michael Porter Jr. now, because he was out because he didn't play his college year at Missouri and so that made him drop off in the draft. And now he's injured again. And I hope it's not a recurring thing, especially for cap space as well, because you're going to pay a guy a lot of money to be injured.
I was about to say, how worried are you about that for the Nuggets' point of view, that you've basically locked in for 170 million for a guy that's already missing 1 year or another year for back injuries? Are you worried about them? Because you can't really get any trade value for him, I wouldn't think.
Well, they're going to look at that. They're going to look at the injury report anyway. They're going to know that he's injury prone with his back. So
that's an injury you don't want to.
Yeah, you can maybe go to a non-contending team that can just do a salary dump.
I think an ACL is probably. You'd probably I wouldn't say you prefer, because they're both friggin' shit, but you'd nearly rather an ACL than a back injury, because backs are just like, how many surgeries has he had? 2 already now?
Yeah, he had 2 or something.
I'd be very, especially they're missing Murray, who's going to come back around All-Star break. But
yeah,
I didn't like them giving him that much money in the first place, to be honest. I don't know if you felt different, but
that was a stupid contract.
Yeah,
just for a person who, at this point, hasn't really done like enough, like on the exact same levels like a Trae Young or a Luka to get that amount of money.
He can show flashes, and his jump shot does look smooth, but he hasn't got consistency, and he's got injury problems. So it's just a stupid contract, and they've kind of fucked themselves now, because they got PJ Dozier that did his ACL. They got no perimeter players really left. They got obviously Barton and stuff, but Nuggets are in serious trouble. I think obviously Jokic coming back helps, but
what a perfect time to come back. You got the next game.
Well, the last team, the Blazers and Lillard, I wouldn't be like, Lillard's been carrying this injury for apparently 4 years. I'm surprised he's taken time off now when they're going bad. Is it maybe a coincidence that he's doing it, you reckon, or do you think maybe he actually needs it?
I mean, he can afford to do this stuff. Him taking the time off now is going to be better for his career and everything, because it's going to help with the longevity and that. So
yeah, I don't disagree with that, but maybe if they lose the next few games, surely they pull the finger out of their ass and maybe make a move, make a trade. Just go for Ben Simmons. What I don't see, if the Blazers are the ones holding out CJ McCollum, I would not understand why. I think if you can get Simmons for McCollum, you do it every single day of the week. And that's because I'm not a big fan of McCollum. And maybe you throw a Larry Nance or someone in there too, who's been playing well for him. But you need to do something.
I mean, Norman Powell seems to be playing well for them. So.
And I think if you get Simmons on that team, they suck defensively. If you don't have to give up Nurkic, and you can run Nurkic and Simmons, Nurkic can sit on the you can't really sit on the three, but he can hit a three. He can hit a deep midi. It always circles back to Simmons somehow, but I think they need to make a trade if they continue to lose. And Lillard's never going to request a trade. What do you think the likelihood of him getting traded is?
Pretty low considering he's our franchise. But then again, the Knicks did trade Porzingis.
Yeah, true. But you've won that trade.
Yep.
So I think there's like a less than 5-10% chance of that happening. What I want to touch on quickly, I don't even know if we'll go into it. I hated how there was no Thanksgiving games. Obviously, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving here. But and apparently it's a football thing over there. But you got games on Christmas, you got games on New Year's, you got games on all these holidays. Why the fuck not have a game on Thanksgiving? Just pissed me off. But we'll go to the Knicks now. We won't go to whatever their score is now against the Bulls. But
half time.
And you're losing.
We're losing by 3 now.
Geez, you've made a comeback and a half. Wow,
scored 25 points in this quarter already.
And it's only 6 minutes through. Well, there's your live reaction. Jesus Christ. Who the fuck scored him? Randall, obviously. Okay.
Randall's going off.
That's a bit of a surprise. Nearly the biggest surprise.
Usually the third quarter we suck in, but
nearly the biggest surprise than the Raptors beating the bloody Bucks by so much right now. Oh, they haven't got Giannis. Oh, and I'll put that in your multi. Okay. Whoa. Anyway, Kemba. What do you think? I'm just going to say the name. He's out of the rotation, not just being benched. He's fully out of the rotation. And I kind of agree with the decision because they've dropped off so much defensively, but you're the Knicks supporter. What do you think of this?
I think, and I saw something from Kendrick Perkins and I agree with it. If you're going to play on a Tibbs team, you're going to have to play defense. And that's not something, especially for an undersized guard, it's not helping and you can't play defense and anything. That's not good. Like you look at Davion Mitchell, he's an undersized guard, but his main thing is that he can play defense. So it's a bit worrying now. And I've seen a lot of apparently trade rumors and everything. And I was saying that apparently the team's been contacted by 3 different teams.
John Wall.
I think one was Houston, but I think it was more just saying that, hey, we're willing to shop for John. We're willing to shop John Wall. And if they're going to look at it like, oh, we can only get him for a player like Kemba, that's $1 we can give up.
Would you do that deal? Considering Wall's
if the trade
contract
involves Nerlens Noel, I will do it. Yes.
Considering Wall's contract though, 2 years, $91 million.
Oh, I thought you meant just a trade for Kemba. Probably not. No, it wouldn't make sense. But but I think with Noel's contract in there as well, I think we could all probably do that.
Yeah. So would you like to move on Kemba? Would you like to maybe see him come off the bench, maybe try and?
I think with the development of these guards and everything, we quickly, who's a star. He's our best player at the moment. I think I would like to possibly see Kemba move on. It was exciting, the name Kemba Walker. He's in New York. You think of how good he was at Charlotte and everything. And that's what everyone thinks. But, I'd probably like to see someone else get minutes instead.
And unlike his contract at the Celtics and stuff, it's a movable contract now.
That's why I'm not that upset because it's not that big of a contract. I'm pretty sure he's got a team option next year anyway.
Yeah. People will want that, will want him for that contract. I'm sure there's more than 3 teams in the NBA that will be looking at that right now saying you could maybe throw a good bench unit player to get him.
Yeah.
As long as the bench unit player plays defense and provides something on offense.
Yeah, they would need to do their scouting properly to find a suitable replacement for Kemba. And I'm hoping it involves just getting a center as well. So that'd be nice.
Well, I like obviously I can't remember what game it was. I think Jericho, who's your Quentin Grimes and Is Jericho Sims the guard?
He's the centre. Grimes is the point guard.
Grimes is the guard. Who's the other guard? That McBride, is it?
Yeah, Deuce McBride. Yeah.
I think it might have been out of the game. You've probably lost already, but they got put in and they played like not full court defense, but they hustled up. They looked like they were actually, unlike a lot of the other players during the game,
They bring a lot of
trying.
energy to the team.
Yeah,
but because they're gonna want to prove a point, they're not gonna want to sit on the bench anymore. It's gonna get like to a point in time where people are sick of, like the rookies are sick of getting drafted here because they're gonna know that they're not gonna get any minutes.
Yeah. So I think Knicks are obviously they're dealing with a few injuries now. With Barrett's out. Rose is back actually, isn't he? So
yeah, pretty much everyone was back against the Nets.
Okay, that's not too bad. But and that was a good game. Obviously, refereeing was a bit meh. Robinson though, I think that was just a poor decision by him in the end.
If you saw it on another angle, he actually got pushed.
Yeah,
by Aldridge.
He did get pushed, no doubt about it. But I think that even if he got pushed, he shouldn't have swiped like down. Like if he's 7 foot, if he put his hands up, James Johnson's probably not getting a shot up over him. Or if he's getting a shot up, he's not going to go in. But that game was, I enjoyed it. The crowd looked unreal, even though half of it was probably Knicks fans.
Probably more than 3/4.
Yeah, but I enjoyed that game. But we'll move on to the main game of we'll say the main game. It was the co-main game of that day. The Warriors versus the Suns. Were you surprised by anything? Were you?
Yeah, I was really hoping Curry would do well that game. So, yeah, I know he's got to have a blank game every once in a while, but you don't want it to be against, like a competition in your division. I mean, in your conference, sorry.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges held him to his worst shooting night of his career on more than 20 shots. So I think he shot 4 for 21, if I remember correctly, and something like 13% he held him to. Like Mikal Bridges, I think we discussed this prior. He's making an argument for an all-star, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I want to know what he is for Defensive Player of the Year. And I obviously they're going to look at centers and they're going to find a way to give it to a center. But
they always do.
Like even when he was in, he was stealing the ball with he's just got gangly arms. But and then he goes off and you bring on Cam Johnson, who I've been a big fan of, just because his jump shot looks so smooth. But and then you got Chris Paul that's just getting steals. I don't know how. He's just a pesky defender. Who would you rather go up against out of those two? If your basketball knowledge now, you playing basketball, Sharpie, just picture it. If you had one person to guard, if you chose one of them, who would you choose to try and beat, obviously?
Chris Paul.
Yeah, I would too. Mikal Bridges is just too lanky and who keep tapping the ball away. I'm just going to get it up here to see where Mikal Bridges is. He's currently 8th right now in the Defensive Player of the Year, behind players like Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis. Draymond Green's a favorite at $2.88. But and they won that game without Booker for not majority of the game, but a fair bit of the game down the stretch because he's done his hamstring, and I should have included him on that list because he's out for 3 to 4 weeks. But I think the Suns can afford it. So is there anything else you wanted to touch on with that game?
No, that's okay.
Well, one thing I will touch on, Clay has been recalled. The world is right again.
It's coming back. Yeah.
It's going to be nerve-wracking watching him.
Yeah, I think it is, but he's not a high flyer. So I think it's also done well for him and maybe his longevity in that. Like you won't really have to worry about that stuff. I think he'll know now probably not to drive to the basket as many times.
Yeah.
But I think it'll just be awesome just to see him back.
Yeah. And obviously Wiseman as well, but no one really cares, even though
No,
I've got him on my
yeah, it's good to
fantasy.
see him back as well. But I just want to see how he can go in that team,
Mm.
not doing as much as he needs to do, really.
Well, who's their
He's not.
bench center? He's coming off the bench.
They got Kevon Looney, who plays. I think Damian Lee might be their son. I can't remember if he is.
They play small
Um,
ball when Looney goes off, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They play Draymond and Kuminga.
Mm. Yeah, I don't. He might only get 10 or 15 minutes a game, Wiseman, for a fair bit.
Yeah,
And
so maybe he can be part of a trade package. I mean, I felt like a waste of time even bloody drafting him. He's not going to do much.
if I'm them, I'm finding a way to get Karl Anthony Towns. He would be perfect for their team. Just a big that shoots threes and can play inside, outside.
It's another. It feels like another waste of like a center though. Like you're gonna.
Oh yeah. But imagine, like, I feel like if they did a similar deal to that, say you give them picks, you give them Wiseman, one of your new rookies, whether it be Moody or Kuminga, I'd probably throw Kuminga in there, and then a couple of draft picks, and you get Towns. I think that obviously Towns fits with the Warriors, but imagine like Ant with Wiseman and Kuminga. I feel like that'd be a enjoyable team to watch, because I'd like the Timberwolves are 7 out of 8 of their last games, I think, but I can't enjoy watching them. I get tired of watching them after watching Towns be there for however many years and not being consistent. And personally, that's a trade I'd do. Would you accept that if you were either team? Do you think that's a lopsided deal, or?
I'd probably accept it.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had for the NBA, I think. Yep, that is all I had for the NBA. We've got our weekly pick 'em. So how this works is there's a line, we pick which one we're going with. We might have I haven't discussed this with you or Lockie. Lockie's not here, but I've got his tip. We might have at the end of we'll go to say 6 weeks or something. We might have whoever's losing at that stage has to do a forfeit. Obviously, it's not going to be a big deal. It'd probably have to be on camera or something, maybe just eating raw eggs or something, or drinking raw eggs. You can't eat them. But we'll discuss that closer to the date. So I picked the game for tomorrow. It's the Hawks versus the Sixers. The line is the Hawks by -1.5. So obviously Philly 1.5. I've gone for the Hawks, and Sharpie and Lockie have gone for Philly. Why have you gone for Philly, Sharpie? Do you think?
Maybe the Hawks lost to the Knicks, so.
Yeah, true. Must be pretty bad then. No, but I think it's going to be a close game, no doubt. No Ben Simmons. I can see why. That's probably why you're going for Philly. But I think Philly just got to stop sliding. I think they're 4-7 in the last 11 games, which is worrying for them. But I think it'll be a close game. That's it for the NBA. I just wanted to touch on the Premier League. Our Burnley, Sharpie, our good old Burnley, came out with a 0-0 draw against Wolverhampton. No, not Wolverhampton. It's Wolves. Anyway. So that was, what a great game that was. But Liverpool beat Everton 4-1, absolutely demolished them. They had me a bit worried. I honestly felt bad for Rafa Benitez. Did you watch any of the Prem last 2 days?
I watched a bit of the United game this morning. I didn't watch. I was in the car when the Liverpool game was on, so I couldn't have watched it then.
Did you think it was a penalty
for United?
Did you see that?
No. Nope.
I think that it's a 50-50 call, but he was so confident that it wasn't, that I don't think he should overturn it. Like, how much contact was there from Odegaard? And 2, is it me, or does Fred literally put his foot back in an unnatural position? Like, not an unnatural position, but he's almost looking for the contact, because who puts their foot that far back when they're steadying for a touch or something? I mean, I just wanted Arsenal to get a result out of that game, but Michael Carrick's undefeated.
Yeah, and he's leaving United undefeated.
Yep. Nah, give him the contract. Do a Rio Ferdinand.
I saw that he stepped down this morning as manager.
Who did?
Carrick.
Oh yeah. Because they got big.
Ralph in.
Ralph. Yeah, Ralph. I don't know his last name, but
Rangnick.
Ragnick. That's it. But yeah, I'm just pissed off at Rio for what he said about Carragher. Like, shut up, Rio. You thought Ole was the man. You thought Ole was at the wheel. But before we go, do you have any Stoke news?
We suck.
Okay, well, I haven't actually kept track of what's going on with Stoke. So
Just our last 2 games, we've got no Harry Suter, no defender, and we just brought in an emergency signing of a keeper, which makes no sense, but okay. That's about it, really.
So where are you sitting on the ladder currently?
7th.
Oh, he's still not far off the
We were
promotion
happily
race.
in 4th.
Yeah. Oh. And finally, your thoughts on midweek Prem games? Fan of it or no?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather watch that than a midweek international break. So yeah.
Or would you prefer midweek Champions League? I prefer midweek Premier League just because I can't find where to watch the Champions League. I'm not getting that stupid Stan Sport shit. Sorry, Stan.
I think don't they show replays on beIN Sports anyway?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I just know that it's not on Optus, and it's so difficult to find Champions League games. So I just end up watching the replays, but that's why I prefer Premier League. Anyway, I think that's a reasonably short week this week, just over half an hour. So we'll leave it at that. Thanks for joining us, Sharpie.
Otherwise, we'll go watch the rest of this Knicks game now.
Yep, it's going to be close, so we'll get off to it. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening, and see ya.